Okay, to continue the discussion about Sanders, uh, Ari Hebel is saying here that on this comment that, especially after the economic crash of 2008, which ruined many lives, the unfairness and the corruption of the present economic system has been revealed. And of course, it's not the economic system itself which is corrupt or basically unfair. But we were warned. I mean, we've always been told since the beginning of the nation that this is the great experiment, and we were warned at the time that we set up this nation, and we've been warned ever since that if we uh, if we were going to be able to continue to prosper in this nation and continue to utilize this particular system which we're using, this democratic republic. We're going to continue to be a republic. You know, he said it was said by I think it was Alexander Hamilton and or another one at that particular time that I have given you a republic if you can hold on to it. And then we've been warned along in the same way, along with the spirit of that, that if we are going to be able to continue to have a free enterprise system, and this takes studying studying economics and everything to understand all this. You got to study a lot. You need to go into a university library and go into the, I believe, East section where all of the economic books are located, and begin to study all those books on economics and really get into them and study the history of economics and how it's all developed. You know, John Kenneth Galbraith and study Lord Maynard Keynes and learn all of those different economists, Janeway, and there's so many of these that you would need to study to order to understand this. But the free enterprise system, Milton Friedman, another one, it has is upheld by the character of a nation that is filled with people of integrity and people of character and people of honesty. And in order to be able to maintain that type of system, we have to maintain a people who are honest and full of integrity and won't to get off into too much greed and too much dishonesty and things like that. And we have to basically keep our Judeo-Christian values. You know, the country was built upon Judeo-Christian values, and if we don't continue to build it upon those same values, then the free enterprise system will get to where it doesn't work. And so that's one of the reasons for that. And the economic crash of 2008 was ruined many many lives. Had a lot more to do with the types of regulations and the types of policies that were put forth by government in the effort to do things for people which they should have allowed the people to do for themselves. And the government, as the moral decay has become more and more taking place in the country, the government has come in more and more to try to replace that inherent sense of integrity and that inherent sense of character which we had within us because of being brought up in the Judeo-Christian traditions. They've had to replace that with more and more regulations to keep people honest and keep people dealing fairly with one another and all. And so they've got carried away and they've overdid it and put too many regulations on people. And that kind of a thing has created. That's partially what has created this thing such as this economic crash, you know, and the prime rate problems that we had, where we let the interest rates get down too low, and we were giving away homes to people rather than waiting until they could save up the money to be able to pay a decent down payment on them and to get in order to get their payments down and things like that. And he says Sanders is highlighting this economic unfairness and corruption and drawing a huge crowds and many supporters. Well, you know, it's he's highlighting the fact that things have not gone the way they should have gone. and we've had too many booms and busts, and we've had we had naturally, in a sense, that the 2008 crash was unfair, but it was not brought about by the inherent unfairness and corruption of our present economic system, because this economic system we have is the only system we have. That is our economic system. It's the free enterprise system, and it's not corrupt in itself. It's only the people that are involved in it that get corrupt. And then it's only when we as a nation get away from our values of integrity and honesty, that the free enterprise system no longer works, because people will use dishonest tactics to take advantage of one another in order to gain money and profit. And if you get too many people, it'll work for a while, but then where some will be able to get rich and wealthy in doing that, and all, but that'll all work out for a while. But then when you get to a certain point where too many people are taking advantage and using dishonest and becoming dishonest, and not practicing their business tactics and their investments with integrity and honesty and character, then it's going to begin to become a situation where you're going to have people that are going to be hurt in that system, in that situation. And it's not the way we set up the economic system to begin with. It has nothing to do with the way we set up the economic system to begin with. It's the way people are taking unfair advantage of the system which we set up. We set it up based upon the fact that people would remain honest and full of integrity and full of a character. But we can't just throw it all out and put in a dictatorship just because people have decayed morally. We've got to continue to try to work with the system, and we've got to encourage people to exercise more integrity. And we've got to have a certain amount of regulations to make sure that happens. But we've got to be able to have the discernment and discretion and wisdom and intuition and all those other nice things of wisdom and principles, and live by principles and all, that would enable us to recognize when we've got enough regulations and need to stop, and when we've got enough regulations to keep people honest. You put locks on your doors in order to keep honest people honest. But you don't go overboard and put up a fortress in front of it when that's not needed. It may get to where it is, but right now, you just need to have basically good deadbolts and things like that, and locks, and that basically most of the time takes care of it. Have yourself a good security system. So we have to learn how to do the things in the proper balance. And when government comes in and they overdo it and put too many regulations, then they need to back up a little bit on those regulations. And we just need to have just what regulations is necessary to keep the things going along in an honest fashion. And so, a word about, and I'm going to continue to make more videos on this. I'm not saying that I've answered all of this, not by any means. I mean, all I'm doing is just introducing this, and I'm going to come back. I've got to go back and remember all the things which, I spent 10 years studying, intense 10 years, more time than that, but 10 years of it was very intense, studying all this economic history and all these kinds of things. And if you'd asked me a few years ago, I could have told you a whole lot better. And so I've got to go back, and I'm going to go over these things again and go back and remember everything, and go and review, and then I'm going to come back and over this again. But a word about U.S. healthcare system, and we have the most expensive and least efficient healthcare system of any advanced nation. And this one of the things is that has gone into making it so expensive and all is I don't really think myself personally that it's all that inefficient. I just think it has got expensive. And that one of the reasons for that is our growing expectation. We expect to live longer, and we expect to, as we live longer, that we will maintain more and more. We want to maintain a lifestyle. We want to maintain a comfortable living, and we want to maintain uh, the quality of life. We want to maintain a quality of life in our golden years, our older years, and all, and so we have a lot more expectation about what we want the healthcare system to do, and so therefore we're putting a lot more demands upon it. And then on the other hand, what is happening also is that uh, we are, in order to meet these demands, we're putting money into research and all, and we're discovering more and more advanced technology and more and more advanced tools in order to bring about this increased quality of life. And so, therefore, the all of the healthcare equipment is has become more and more expensive. We have MRI and CAT scans and all these kinds of things. The single proton emission tomography devices and all these kinds of things that we have now that we didn't have a few years ago. I mean, it's not like it was when you just had a country doctor going around, door to door with a bag. I mean, you've got all of this expensive equipment that has to go into maintaining people's health over our lifetime, and then everybody expects it too a lot more than they did. So that's one of the things that's caused the healthcare cost to rise. And but what we've got to do in that is just bring in more and more we got to keep it a system of competitiveness, but then also we have to remember that the main cog in this healthcare machine are the doctors, and if the doctors are not satisfied with the system, then they're not going to go into the medical profession. And you have to go through a great amount of intense training. It's a great sacrifice. You have to put off your family and everything else for like 10, 15 years before you get established in practice. You have your 4 years of pre-med, and then you have your 4 years of medical school, and then you have your 2 years of residence after that. And then if you go into a specialty, you have 2 or 3 more years you have to do. And then after you do all that, then you have to set up in if you're going to set up in private practice, you have to establish your practice. You have all those kinds of things that they have to do. Who's going to go into it if it's not profitable? If they can't, if they're not making $300,000 or $400,000 a year, who's going to want to go? Who's going to want to undergo the sacrifice to do that? And so if you get the government in there, to where they're paying every one of them the same, and they're not allowing them to compete and charge what they need to charge and all in order to make a good living, and which would be according to what they put into it and according to their skills and all that which they have and the education which they have and how much motivation they have, then they're not going to want to go into it. And so all you're going to have is a situation where it's just going to be like the other the civil service workers, where what the expectation is going to be is, let's get into something where we can't be fired, and where we'll just serve out 30 years and then retire and have a good salary and everything like that, rather than maintain a system where you're highly motivated to become the best heart surgeon or the best neurosurgeon and all, because that brings you the big bucks and you can make millions of dollars and all. We've got to maintain that system. We can't do away with that system. And if we expect to maintain this a system where our elder people will have a quality of life well up into their 80s, 90s, and 100s, and so forth. And so I've got to go into this a whole lot more, because there's just a whole lot to this, But we have the most expensive. Canada, Britain, France, Australia, and many other advanced countries all have government-managed national, so on and so on. Far less expensive, and But I've got to go into that more. But a word about higher education, and oh man, that's just that's more than my middle name. That's my first name, education. I've called myself the EP for many years, and it's just, if I ever became president, you'd see an entirely different education system. I would completely refurbish the whole thing. And so I've got to really do a lot of tapes on that. I wouldn't even attempt to even go into that right now, but completely. But we have got to completely make education so much more available to people, but then we've also got to motivate them to want the education. So I'll have to continue this in another video.